Welcome. We are here today to talk about the next 7 lessons of Jesus' Course in Miracles. And was it 7 that we did
It
last
is
time?
first
Am
week.
I?
By the
Okay.
way, I'm Jeff.
Yep. And I'm Julie. And we are longtime friends and course students. And by long time, I mean long time.
12 years.
And for a while now, we've been thinking that to help us in our learning, we would start to teach, and so that's what this is all about.
And if you listen to the first podcast that just basically was a quick canvassing of the underlying principles of the first 7 lessons, you probably know what this is about. And we're just going to cover lessons 8 through 14. So it'll be the second week, even though you do the daily lessons, obviously daily. We're just doing a weekly so that people will feel maybe a little less frustrated, maybe understand a little deeper what these lessons are pointing you towards and helping you with. Because often one of the things that people say is like, I just don't feel like I was doing anything, and I don't really know why I'm doing this, or I don't know what this means.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we would jump in and try to help with that.
Absolutely. So the first week, there were a lot of trying to see things, or trying not really see things, but just try to understand that we don't see things very well. And the next 7 lessons expound on that, as everything in the course does. It's all holistic, so it's all interwoven. But the next 7 lessons, and I'm just going to jump right on in and read them.
Okay.
And then we can talk about them if that works for you.
Sure.
Okay. Lesson 8, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Lesson 9, I see nothing as it is now. Lesson 10, my thoughts do not mean anything. 11, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Lesson 12, I am upset because I see a meaningless world. 13 says, a meaningless world engenders fear. And then 14 is, God did not create a meaningless world. I really like this, looking at it as a string, because that it so much helps with the progression of it. Because I don't know about you, but I know for me, it's not often that I manage to get an entire week all at once, day by day.
Right.
So very often I'm coming back to it a few days or a week later than the last lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always easy to remember where I left off.
Right. And, I think it's so important to only do one lesson at a time, one lesson a day. But I agree with you. I think seeing them all in this string so that you can help understand how your mind is being shifted out of fear by these lessons is really, really good, because that's kind of the way we're geared nowadays. We need some part of this needs to understand where this boat's heading.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I like the kind of reminder that, all right, we start off with, I'm preoccupied with past thoughts. And what that means is I'm not seeing anything clearly.
Right.
And then
we're so locked into thinking that we see and perceive everything really clearly, starting with just our immediate environment, these bodies, the people around us, that we are perceiving all of this really clearly. And this is beginning to tackle the whole thing. Is like, no, you're really not.
And that's so interesting, because I have heard it said that a lot of people who like to follow the course are sort of scholarly, for want of a better word, smart people. And then to turn around and say, well, the thing that got you here isn't going to get you anywhere
Mm-hmm.
else. The thing that got you here, you're thinking about it and understanding your world. That is actually the
Mm-hmm.
problem, not the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a bold concept.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I'm so identified with my thinking and my perceptions. It's like, how do I not do that? And I think the first step is to using these daily lessons, begins deprogramming the fear-based perception. And so it's showing you all of these little things that have you tethered. Like this little strand has you bound up, and this strand, and it starts slowly cutting this little strand and that little strand, and that's really what happens. Um, you,
Hmm.
like my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. It's that is the thing that the ego uses to keep you from being in the present. Because if you were just present with in the now, you could communicate with your higher self, spirit, however you want to look at it. But,
Well, one thing that I find interesting too is the idea that my thoughts don't mean anything,
mm-hmm,
because even when I'm meditating or even when I'm still, there are times where a thought will just pop up. I'll see something in front of me and this thought will pop up. And as much as I'm able to let myself remember that the thought doesn't mean anything, that's a lot of freedom, because there are times that I'm attached to the thought. There are times that I'm ashamed of the thought. I try to distance myself from it. I try to justify it. There's a million different ways I handle every thought,
yeah,
but all of that is still buying into
right.
it. And really the only way out of it is to say that doesn't mean anything. I don't need forgiveness from it. I don't need to eradicate it or buy into it. It's nothing.
Well, and that's what the ego mind wants you to do. It wants you to wrestle with it so that you get pulled
Mm.
in. And if you'll notice, when you're having a bad day, everything that you see or think about or ideas that pop in your head is a trigger. Like you'll just go, oh, and you think that you have to mentally deal with all of these very important, usually dangerous things that you want and don't
Yes.
want. And the
Yes.
course is going, no, you don't.
Right. I have to decide. I have to decide. And I've noticed that there's one friend that I hang out with particularly, that everything that comes along, a car, an outfit, a building, she feels like she's got to pass judgment on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she needs to decide, do I like that or do I not like that? Every single thing. And from the outside I can see, God, that must be
Mm-hmm.
exhausting. But I do the same thing. I just am not so vocal about it.
Right. We hide it a little better sometimes.
Exactly.
No, and the people get, well, you know, my thoughts are not meaningless. Like, I often have to use my mind to do X, Y, and Z. Nobody's saying don't do these things. What we're talking about is this overuse, this habitual, uh, fearful meaning that we project onto every thought, and that keeps us bound up in this hellish kind of existence.
Yeah. Think your thoughts. Just don't believe them.
Yeah, just watch and go, mm-hmm, nice try. I
Oh,
mean, when I meditate, that's really when I have really great meditations. I use like the bring it on. It helps me a lot. You go, okay, bring on the images, bring on the. I'm not. You're not going to shift me. I'll look at all of them and just be like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And this has helped me a lot in that, because then you move to like number 12 here. I'm upset because I see a meaningless world. Yes, that's where the upset comes from.
oh
In
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
And how desperately we're trying to to impose meaning on it.
Right. Right. Because we think that we have to figure out the world and we have to uh, do it. And it's like, no, no, actually, don't do that. That's,
Actually, not as good.
you know, in the course, I think it says somewhere, it says, spirit knows what will make you happy. You don't. You literally do not know what it is that would make you happy. But you have to first acknowledge that so that you can uh, say, yeah, there's this freeing that happens when you're just willing to say, I don't know. And that's what these lessons are about, is leading you to a place where you're very happy to say, no, I don't know. And it's actually advantageous that I don't think that I perceive correctly and know.
Mm, yeah. That's an interesting thought because so often I don't know is just a precursor to, but I need to find out.
Right. And that's a one aspect of what the course says you need do nothing. And it's talking about on the inside. You need to do nothing. And so that you make space to be shown, that you have a little willingness to be shown, to stop going with the tracks you've made in your brain of the negative fear-based thinking. And the not knowing is so freeing. And I'm not talking
Mm.
about, you know, quit your job, leave everything, just walk out into traffic, say,
As attractive as that sounds.
depending on the day. Um, but yeah, it's very powerful. It's very, very powerful because there there is meaning in one thing, which is love. There is meaning in connectedness. There's meaning in seeing innocence in other people and realizing your connection. And everything else is a really painful hamster wheel.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. There, I said it. I'm not sorry. And we're talking about, this is all internal. What we're doing is we're training. We're not giving you lessons on how to live your life or how to do things. We're talking about the inside work and the exercises to release you from the fearful thought or be shown a different way.
Yeah.
So as you do these, like it said at the very beginning of these lessons, you don't have to like it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to, you may be hostile towards some of these. You may get super annoyed or angry. Just do it. Just do them. They're laying down a track that does lead somewhere.
Yeah. And it's amazing how gradually and imperceptibly they will go in and make those changes in your brain.
Totally.
It isn't hard work. It is just persistent work.
Yeah. And you get in a habit of, there was a man in Seattle. I'm trying to think. I think his name was Raj, and he I think was a psychologist, um, but he was or is a Course in Miracle scholar, and the way that he worked, and it doesn't talk about this in the course exactly like this, but he said he got so in such the habit of asking up, like, oh, I'm just let me ask to be shown what this is about, ask to be shown the innocence in people, constantly asking so that you get in the habit of it and you don't make room for the fear based thinking. You don't make room for or you don't give the ego thought system, the fear based thought system, momentum. And when you ask, it breaks the momentum of the the fear and the overthinking that comes with it.
That's such a great point to bring up, because I know for me that asking is all about, well, then I've really desperately got to find the answer. If I'm asking the question, then I'm straining myself to hear the answer.
Yeah.
And that's not really the point.
It's not, I mean, it's not about the answer if it's, contextualized in should I go left or should I go right?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's contextualized in like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to go left or right. I don't even, all my perceptions about this are skewed. So I'm just going to take a second just to acknowledge that I don't know and make an opening for something else.
That's fabulous. That's very, very helpful.
Yeah, I think so. I when I remember to do it, when you do it, it works. Like
Yep.
they say in the AA, it's like when you work it, it works, and this is exactly that same way.
Yes.
You get used to it, and it it is amazing what happens.
Yes, it is.
So,
And you are amazing.
oh, thank you. I know, and so are you. Trying to be very spiritually correct in that.
Yes.
All right. Well, everybody, good luck. Let us know how it goes, and we will see you next time. Talk about the next lessons.
That sounds great. Bye.